All right, the right fits. We're back here. Let's talk about the Trump indictments. Okay, um, Trump indictments. I think there's like what? There's like 35, 40 Trump indictments by now, and they're all aiming at him. What's the last one? I think it's in. I can't even remember. There's been so many now. New York, Georgia. Georgia's the voter one, I think. New York was, yeah, Georgia's the voter one. So there he suppressed the votes of however many people. That's what they say. The fake electors scheme. The New York one, man, I can't even remember. But essentially, what the Democrats are trying to do, it seems like at this point, is they're trying to drum up as much negative. They can't get rid of Trump. They realize they can't get rid of Trump, so they're trying to drum up as much negative content towards Trump as possible. And I'm more of a libertarian, socialist, but libertarian. So limited government, but I want the government to take care of simple things: education, healthcare, protection. Police, fire department, things like that. So that's where the socialist aspect comes in, but I want them out of everything else. So I want only our tax dollars going to very, very transparent things the government are doing. So our national security budget is, half of the congressional budget every year or whatever. It's almost $1 trillion a year, and that's it's increased no matter who's in office, Democrat or Republican. No matter who's in office, it increases, which just shows you how our system works, right? We don't really have that. It's kind of the George Carlin joke, you can buy so many choices of Pepsi, but you only have the two parties that we're given to choose from, which we saw with Bernie Sanders, right? They do choose kind of who we get to choose from, the Democrats and the Republicans. But what they're trying to do now, since they can't get rid of Trump, is the Democrats are trying to make him look as bad as possible through all these indictments, and they're trying to appeal to the Republicans. If this guy's a criminal, how can you vote for him? Which, how well is that going to work? I don't think it's going to work too well. They're too strongly behind him, and the Democrats are doing so poorly at this point that the indictments are just made to smear him even more. If he was not running, we would not see these same results, right? So you see this duopoly system, right, where the political class is treated differently. They're, the elites are treated differently than the rest of the people. We know that, right? There's different rules for the, wealthy than there is for most people, right? There's different scales of it, obviously. But when you get really high up there, the elites have a different law system than most of us deal with. Just for example, Trump, and I don't think the Democrats even think about this, but how can you send Trump really to prison? He has protection from Secret Service for the rest of his life because he's a president. So is the Secret Service going to go into jail with him? I don't even think they've thought that through and how that would work. It kind of sending a president to jail is in and of itself a law and order nightmare, filled with paradoxes and things like that. It's just so interesting to see the Democrats attack it this way. Instead of the Democrats changing it all and the Democrats adapting to Trump and, even out of all the things Trump did wrong, they pick some of the smallest things, and especially when you compare them to the crimes of other presidents. Oh my gosh, Bush, Obama, You know, Clinton, when you compare his crimes to theirs, it's like, are we really going to do this? You know, Iraq and Afghanistan and Vietnam, these horrific things. We want to send Trump to prison because he may have thought that some people voted for him when they didn't. I guess that's kind of how I look at it, even though I prefer more democratic policies. The Democrats have really let me down these last 4 years. Joe Biden started off decent, I thought. He started off relatively strong getting out of Afghanistan. Man, that was a big plus for him. But then, you know, he didn't pull out of Iraq, and he didn't pull through on the economic policies he said he would. Man, and now we're just resorting to filing charges against the other guy, which are probably not going to work out, you know. And even if they do, what's he going to get? Some house arrest for a couple of years or whatever, you know? That's going to be the big sticker to him. And he, even you know, if he wins the next election, that's not going to matter. These charges aren't going to matter, right? Because the president's not going to be. Well, maybe he will. Maybe he'll be going through court cases as the president. That's actually probably how it should work, right? If it's treating everybody equally. It's crazy. So, I mean, just to see the Democrats, how weak they are, you know, over Joe Biden's term, you know, Trump was such a response to Obama and his complacency to change things. People wanted that change. And that was, you know, people don't want to admit this, but there's an overlap between Trump and Obama supporters, which is the same thing where Trump supporters overlapped with Bernie supporters, where they wanted that change. And you know, Biden is just the anti-change guy. We realized Obama was. That's why we went so extreme with Trump. That's why the United States did. Why so many people still support him to this day in a fervently different way than other Republican candidates, right? And I don't even know how negative I am. You know, I was kind of worried about him as far as his reluctancy to give up power in his first term. I was worried that he wouldn't give up power if he'd lose. But, you know, it did end up happening. He did end up getting on that helicopter and leaving, right? So I don't think he would try to keep power a second time. I don't think he is a threat to democracy at this point. So, you know, I think that's overblown. But, you know, who knows? I mean, maybe he is, but I don't think he is, and I think a lot of his policies are honestly better than most other Republicans. The Republicans are so just out of the norm with their policies, and they let their religiosity govern everything, you know? It's like, oh my God. You know, Nikki Haley can't even say anything about slavery during the Civil War because she's from the South and she thinks she'll lose voters. It's like, what are you talking about? They know that their own history, right? So, yeah, you know, well, we'll see what happens, you know. Like, subscribe, you know what it is.